Hey guys, today we are focusing on solving three variable systems. So before, we've only focused on two equations in a system of equations, but today we're going to have three equations. And so in three variable systems, we can have one solution, infinite solutions, or no solution. But for today, we are only going to be focusing on one solution. So let's take a look at that first one here at number one. So on number one here, it says solve this system. So you'll notice we actually have three equations. And what I want you to do is when we go into solving these, start with the one that has the least number of variables. In this case, it's this top one, 3 plus r equals -2. Second, if you are able to, use a different color for each equation. That way it helps you keep all of your numbers on the page a little bit separate. Grab some colored pencils or a marker or whatever and do that. All right, so let's see here. 3 plus r equals -2. That's going to be my first equation, so I'll use red for that. We'll go 3 plus r equals -2. Sweet. So we're going to be able to solve for what r is, because r is the only variable in that first equation. So I'm going to start off and I'm going to -3 to both sides. And I'm going to get r equals -5. So there you go. We already got our first answer. R equals -5. Okay, so now I'm going to take that value for r and I'm going to go for my next equation. So my next equation, I'm going to use blue. My next one is 2r minus 5t equals 20. And I'm going to plug in my value for r so I can find what t is. Remember, we're going in order. One with most, second most, and then so on and so forth. So 2r minus 5t. Let's use r. Let's plug in my r. So let's go 2 times, that's where I'm going to put my r, minus 5t equals 20. And let's plug in r where it used to be. Well, my r is -5, so I'm going to plug in -5 right there. We're going to solve it. So 2 times -5 is -10. Then we're going to add 10 to both sides. And we're going to get -5t equals 30. Then I'm going to divide both sides by -5, and I'm going to get t equals -6. So just like that, I already have two answers. We got r equals -5, t equals -6. Okay, so then let's find what s is. To do that, I'm going to use all this space, and I'm going to use my third and final equation. So my third equation is -6r minus 5s plus 6t equals -11. And we're looking for my last piece. My last piece is this s right here in the middle. Well, I know what r is, and I know what t is, so I can plug both of those in. I can go -6 times my r, which is -5, minus 5s, and I can go 6 times my t, which we decided was -6. So I'll plug in a -6 here. Okay, then we're just going to multiply, combine like terms, and solve. So I'm going to go -6 times -5 is a positive 30. 6 times -6 is going to be a negative 36. Then let's combine like terms. 30 and -36 make 30, and -36 make -6, and equal -11. Let's add 6 to both sides. So we'll get -5s equals -11 plus 6 is -5. Then we'll just divide both sides by -5, and my answer is going to be s equals +1. So there we go, s equals +1. So there are my three answers. R equals -5, t equals -6, and s equals 1. All right, let's go ahead and turn the page. Let's take a look here at our next problem here, number 2. Okay, so once again, I'm going to ask you to start with your two smallest ones, and then we're going to plug into our biggest ones. So our two smallest ones, let's write out our stuff, okay? So my two smallest ones are x minus z equals 10. My other one is y minus 12z equals 0. And my last one that we're going to write over here, actually, let me change this. I'm going to write this in a different color. So I'm going to write this in blue. I'm going to write y minus 12z equals 0. And I'm going to write this one in green. We're going to go x plus y plus z equals 80. Okay, so this is where we have to do some thinking. We have to think, what can I plug in to get one equation that only has one type of variable? Because once I have one type of variable, I can solve it. But before then, we need to figure it out. So let's see here. If I have this x minus z equals 10, what I can do is I can solve for x. Let me show you why that matters. If I add z to both sides, we're going to get x equals z plus 10. All right, so we solved for x there. Maybe that'll help. Let's see. Okay. On this other one, let's solve for y. I'm going to add 12z to both sides. And that's going to give me y equals 12z. Okay, listen. The reason I did this is because I have my variables in terms of just z. And so what that's going to allow me to do is it's going to allow me to take this value for x and substitute it in for x over here. I can take this value for y and substitute it in for y over here. And then I have one big equation that only has z in it. So look, instead of having this x here, I'm going to put in, instead of having this x here, I'm going to instead take this value for x. Don't want to do that. I'm going to instead take this value for x here, plug it in for x over here. I'm going to take this value for y and plug it in for y over here. So instead of having this x, I'm going to have a z plus 10. Instead of having this y, I'm going to have a 12z. And so then I have successfully created an equation that only has one type of variable. And that one type of variable here is just z. So now we just need to combine like terms. Z plus 12z plus z is 14z. So we have 14z plus 10 equals 80. I can then subtract 10 to both sides. And that's going to give me 14z equals 70. Then we'll just divide both sides by 14. And we'll get z equals 70 divided by 14 is 5. So z equals 5. So there's my first answer. So if z equals 5, I can find what x is. Because x equals z plus 10. And if z is 5, it's going to be 5 plus 10. Which is, of course, going to be 15. So x equals 15. Then, also, if I know what 12z is, I can plug that in here. I can take that z and plug it in again over here, and I can go y equals 12 times 5. And, of course, 12 times 5 is 60. So y is going to equal 60. Let's go back and make sure that makes sense. Does 15 plus 60 plus 5 equal 80? Yes, it does. So these are all true equations. So then, last thing, what is the value of x minus y plus 2z? Well, x is 15, so at 15 minus my y, which is 60, plus 2 times z, which is 5. So 15 minus 60 is negative 45, and this can be 10, so negative 45 plus 10 is going to be negative 35. So there's our answer, 15, 65, and that last one, negative 45. So let's scroll down here, and let's now finish our last problem, number 3. So number 3, it says, in a photo album, there are 80 pictures. Each picture is in the shape of a rectangle, a square, a rectangle, or a circle. All right, so 80 pictures. We have a rectangle, a square, and a circle. So I'm going to say a rectangle plus a square plus a circle equals 80 pictures. All right, there are 12 times as many rectangles as circles. So that sounds like it's going to be 12R equals C, but it's actually the opposite. Because C is so much more than C is 12 times as many. My rectangles are 12 times as many as my circles are. So we have 12 times as many rectangles, so I have to multiply my circles by 12 to get it up there. So my second equation is going to be this. Rectangles equals 12 times C. And my last equation, there are 10 more squares than circles. So 10 more squares than circles. So that means there's a bunch more, there are a bunch more squares than there are circles. So I have to go circles plus 10 to equal the number of squares. So squares is going to equal circles plus 10 because there are 10 more squares than there are circles. So I have to add the 10 to the C to get to the number of squares. So now, remember, we're going to start with my lowest two in C. Well, we have R equals 12C. Oh, I could maybe plug that in for R over here. Okay, that's a thought. I have S equals C plus 10. Maybe I could plug that in for S over here. And if I do that, we're going to make one equation that only has C in it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this value for R, and I'm going to plug it in for R over here. I'm going to take this value for S, and I'm going to plug it in for S over here. That way we can get one equation that only has C in it. So it's going to be 12C plus C plus 10 plus C equals 80. So let's combine like terms. 12C and 1C and 1C are all like terms, and that's going to give me 14C. So once again, we're going to get 14C plus 10 equals 80. I feel like we have seen this before. Ooh, we have. Don't let that scare you. It's just going to mean that we're going to get a very similar answer, right? So we're going to go minus 10, minus 10. We get 14C equals 70. Divide both sides by 14, we get C equals 70 divided by 14 equals 5. So it's really the same problem that we had just a second ago. So my C is going to be 5, my S is going to be 15, and my R is going to be 12 times my C, which is 5. So it's going to be, of course, 60. So once again, we're basically going to get, we're just going to do that problem kind of twice in a row. But the main idea behind this is that we need to be able to write out our equations. So make sure you took notes and you paid attention to how I wrote those equations out. But yeah, we do get similar answers. So my circles are going to be 5. We're going to have 60 rectangles, which makes sense. That's the most common type of picture frame. And then we're going to have 15 square picture frames. All right, guys. I hope this lesson has been of help to you. As always, please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll respond as quickly as I can. We're finishing up Unit 3 tomorrow, and remember, we have our test next Wednesday. All right, guys. Hope you have a good rest of your day.